Hello, my name is David Garrett. I'm a retired cryptographer and a keen amateur radio operator. Welcome to my presentation, Cryptography at 30,000 feet. Where to find more information? Feel free to drop me an email at david@thecrankycryptographer.biz or feel free to approach me at a meeting. I promise I don't bite. The first thing you'll need to understand to get a grasp of modern cryptography are the two cryptography types. The first cryptography type is symmetric key cryptography, and the second cryptography type is asymmetric key cryptography. Symmetric key encryption uses a key K and an encryption process E. It applies the encryption process to the key K and the unencrypted text to get the encrypted text. It similarly applies the key K and the encryption process E to the encrypted text to get the unencrypted text. The same key is used to encrypt and decrypt the data. This is a major security flaw with this type of encryption. However, there are ways around it which we'll discuss further on in this presentation. The major advantage of symmetric key encryption is that these algorithms are very fast to compute and are easily implemented in integrated circuits. This makes them ideal for detecting tampering with data in transit, which asymmetric keys are not suitable for. Asymmetric key encryption. You have a private key and a public key. You distribute the public key wide and far. It's mathematically impossible once you've encrypted something with the public key to decrypt it with anything but the private key. So provided you keep the private key secure, the encryption secure. The main disadvantage of asymmetric key encryption is it's computationally very slow to compute. You're typically using keys of 4096 bits or higher. Now, using the mathematical nomenclature that we used in the previous slide, we have an encryption process E. We apply it to the plain text and the public key to produce the encrypted text. We have the encrypted text E, and we apply it to the encrypted text. I'll start that again. We have the encrypted text and the private key. We apply the encryption process to the encrypted text and the private key to recover the unencrypted text. Let us now discuss digital signatures. Special functions that, when applied to data, produce a unique code called a hash or a digital signature. The functions provide a different hash if so much as one bit is changed, thus providing a mechanism for detecting that data has been altered in transit. These functions are often called one-way functions because it is impossible to obtain the original data from the computed hash. A third party certifies an organisation's public key by digitally signing the public key supplied and producing a digital certificate. A digital certificate is a file of commands written in an abstract language called Abstract Syntax Notation 1, or ANS.1. Now, I don't know if there's anyone listening to this that's old enough to remember a digital equipment VEX, but many years ago, for my sins, I had to implement ANS.1 on a digital equipment VEX and a PDP-11 and a IBM mainframe to establish secure communications. And boy, was it boring. But that's another story. ANS.1 was developed to represent data objects independently of the computer's architecture. Unfortunately, certification authorities do not use robust protocols to certify an organisation's public key. One prominent key certification agency will accept a credit card. Now, it takes 10 minutes to find a program on the internet that will produce credit cards which look realistic and don't get detected for months. This has resulted in hostile actors controlling public keys signed with the names of many famous multinational corporations. I suggest instead of you relying on certification authorities, you set up a web of trust where you certify public keys that you can verify directly and upload these certifications to a web of trust database. When you receive a certificate, you query a local web of trust server, and if someone you trust appears in the list of certifiers, you accept the certificate and add the digital signature to the certification web of trust. Key exchange protocols, a set of rules that are used by two actors on a computer network to set the initial key, how the keys are updated, and the frequency of the key update. Now let us discuss secure transactions on the internet. This will demonstrate quite clearly how modern cryptography is used. You have two actors on a computer network, a receiver R and a sender S. These actors want to undertake a secure transaction. The actors execute a key exchange algorithm to set the initial symmetric key to be used, how the key will be updated, and the frequency of key updates. R and S exchange digital certificates and verify their respective public keys. S digitally signs data and encrypts the data using the agreed symmetric key. S then encrypts the symmetric key with the public key for R. The thing to note here is that it's using R's public key to certify the symmetric key. Since R has kept his or her private certificate secure, only R can decrypt the symmetric key. And provided you update the key at a frequency that exceeds the ability of the adversary to guess the key, this is very secure. This is repeated until all the data has been sent. Conclusion to the presentation. If you'd like to learn more about encryption, I would recommend the following two books: Applied Cryptography by Bruce Chenier, Cryptography Theory and Practice by Douglas R. Stinson. Now, both these books were released in the public domain, so if you contact me at the Cranky Cryptographer web email address given earlier, I can get copies out to you. And you can, as long as you can read books in PDF format, you'll be fine. Now, I've been remiss in not mentioning that I have a book due for publication in the new year, but I won't give that one to you for free. It's called A Mathematical Introduction to Modern Cryptography, published by Springer Verlag. Unfortunately, you're only allowed to use encryption on the amateur bands if you are controlling a spaceship, so there is still a use of cryptography in amateur radio. However, the use of cryptography is freely allowed on the internet. I would encourage you to download a GNU privacy guard and set up an encrypted email. If the interest is there, I am willing to set up a Web of Trust server, and we can, during one tech night, sit down and verify each other's keys and certify them, and then pass that certification database up to the central database at MIT. Download SSH and set up port forwarding. This will ensure all your network traffic is encrypted. With modern computer technology and the speed of implementation of freeware SSH, you won't notice the hit, and you'll have the added advantage that your network traffic is secure. I would encourage as many people as possible to download cryptographic programming libraries and experiment with cryptography. The two that I recommend are Eric Young's SSLEAY, which is Eric Young, the American cryptographer's implementation of SSL, and Peter Gutman's Peter Gutman's very extensive cryptographic library available from the University of Auckland. Now, I should point out that moving encryption software across the Australian border is regarded as trafficking in firearms. However, there are legal ways around this. If you contact me at the Cranky Cryptographer, I'll be only too pleased to discuss this with you and give you copies of the respective libraries. Okay, any questions?